Good morning. Welcome to Made by Me with Grey Roots. I'm Laura. I'm the programs coordinator here at Grey Roots Museum and Archives. I'm so glad that you could join us today to create your very own yarn bird or birds. So each kit has two birds in it. So either you will be making an eastern bluebird and a purple finch, or a black-capped chickadee and a Baltimore oriole. So during lockdowns and working from home, my family, we have a bird feeder, and outside my workspace I would see the birds flying to and from, and I really thought it'd be a great idea to create some birds. So when they kept popping up on my Pinterest feed, I did some research and figured out what kind of birds we could share. So all of these, the four birds, are either seen on site here at Grey Roots or in nearby areas. So they're all Grey County birds, which is really exciting. And to make even a better connection to local birds, our collection summer student assistant, Jacob, he is ready in the collections to talk to you about an interesting bird we have in our collection. So we're going to go visit over in museum storage, and we're going to go see what Jacob has to share with us today.
Hello everyone, my name is Jacob Freilich, a summer student at Grey Roots Museum and Archives, and this is our collections room. Today I will be talking about this taxidermy owl, one of the artifacts in our collection. Now unfortunately, we do not know the exact species of this brown owl, nor do we know its origins. We do know, however, that it was last owned by George Ward of Owen Sound, Grey County. Owls in particular interest me due to the many unique traits they have compared to other birds. The large eyes of the owl allow it to see in complete darkness, yet they cannot move in their head, which is why the owl is able to turn its neck so far in all directions. The owl also has its ears on different heights on each side of its head, which makes it better determine exactly where sounds are coming from. The owl also has specialized feathers, which allow it to fly almost completely silently in the night. These all work together to make the owl the best hunter it can possibly be. That's all I have to say for today, and I hope to see you next time.
And thank you so much, Jacob, for sharing that beautiful owl with us. Our collections is always full of wonderful and exciting items. So now you get to make your very own bird or birds. So for this kit, and for this program rather, I chose colors that were very different because for some birds, like our black-capped chickadee friend here, some of the colors are kind of hard to tell the difference. So I chose some very different colors just to be able to highlight just what to do with your yarn. This craft, while I found it online, there were not the greatest sets of instructions, but I did eventually find a video showing me how to do it, and then I tweaked some of the things to go with it, because in the original version of the craft, there were actually instead of two groups of 12 centimeter yarn, it was actually two groups of 9 centimeter, but I found this worked a bit better. So each piece of cardboard should kind of look like this. So the one that goes over top is your 9 centimeter piece. That one is going to be your wings. And then it will be labeled. Here are my labels. So the back of my bird is going to be red, and the belly or the breast of my bird is going to be yellow. So the very first thing you're going to do is kind of just figure out where your ends are. So when you do your cuts, you're going to cut it right off, and you're going to cut it on the one where it has an end already. So we're going to do that and just set it aside. So I just use my sewing scissors just because it is kind of some thick yarn, and I'm going to do the exact same thing for each one. So I'm going to do my red next for my back, and I also just want to make sure I'm only getting red. Snip, snip. I'm going to lay that down. And the longer the yarn sits, the easier it'll be to actually see where middle is. So your sets should all be fairly clear. And again, I'm going to look for that end, and then I'm just going to do this to the last one. And So there we go. And I'm going to set aside one piece of yarn from each of these groups. And I'm just going to do that just when I have to tie them. I'm going to just secure it and make sure things are all set. And then I need to think about what color of yarn I want to go around the whole body. So for the black-capped chickadee, I chose black, and I'm just going to, this time I think I'm gonna use red for mine. So I'm gonna tie it off in the back, so I'm just gonna set aside that extra red piece. So the very first thing we're gonna start with are those 12 centimeter groups. So the belly or breast and the back. So I'm just going to make sure I'm still fairly neat, a little off kilter now. And then you're just going to shape them into a T or a plus sign. So when I have this, I'm going to do my red first. I'm just going to fold it up, getting all of my yarn pieces to cooperate. And then, oh, there's someone sneaking out there. You're going to do this and just make sure it's nice and neat, at least at the join, and then I'm just going to tie one of those red pieces that I had set aside, and I'm going to tie it into a double knot. And because this is my back, I'm going to kind of put it towards the side, so then it'll be easier to hide it when I create the bird shape. So there we go. And then I'm gonna neaten up the yellow, make sure it's pretty even. And then I'm gonna take that yellow piece I had set aside and do the exact same thing. And I kind of shift it down. So you can play around with this. It's one of the greatest things about this craft is it is fairly flexible and forgiving. And I don't trim any of the ends off until the very end if I need to, just in case I have to go back and do a few tweaks. So with any of the birds, the next step, we're going to make sure that the back is the top one here, and then it's going to meet up with the belly or the breast, and then I'm just going to kind of shift it forward, and then that way you can kind of see what the face is going to look like. So I'm also going to, I tied my knot on the side, but I'm not super happy with how it was poking out, so I'm going to actually just twist it to the back or to the inside so then I won't see it at all. And then I'm going to do the exact same thing with the belly one. So then I'm just going to hide all those joints, and then so it's a little bit neater. So the next step is going to be to add the wings and kind of the bulk of the bird. So we're gonna just put those wings across those joins as equal as possible. And then in the one set of instructions that I saw, they actually use something like cardstock to put in the middle to add kind of the shape to the bird. And I found it was kind of limiting and just not as soft as I would have liked my bird to be, apparently. So the packaging for this kit, the brown craft paper, is actually going to be what I suggest. Now, you could use something else if you would like. You could use part of an old sock that you could trim up that can be sacrificed for the craft. Anything kind of soft. I've also done it with kind of wool stuffing that I had left over from a quilt. So you're gonna get this and you're just gonna crumple it up. And again, I said this before, but it's very forgiving. So it seems kind of small, but I'm going to set it down closer to the belly side. And then I'm gonna flip this all over because I'm gonna test out to see if I like the size of the belly and if I need to add to it or take away from it. So I'm gonna kind of just look at it and it's actually pretty good. My chickadee is a rather plump chickadee, but I was gonna go a little bit smaller for this one. And if you are giving this as a gift to somebody, you could always take that paper out once you have the perfect size. You could open it up, and then you could even make like a little note or a wish for the person that you're giving it to, or even to yourself. So now that I'm pretty happy with this, actually, I'm going to take that red piece of yarn I had set aside, and then I'm going to tie everything up. Now, in some cases, I may not be happy with how everything looks, and you can play with and, you know, kind of personalize or customize your own bird. So you can shift around some of the yarn, so you could cover up more of the wings with the back color, or you're also welcome to mix and match. So within your kits, there are different colors between the different birds, so you could even match. Say with the chickadee, you could add a bit of the yellow to it, or you could add some black to this one as well. That would be kind of cardinal-esque, but anyway, so you can customize however you would like. Just keep an eye on the size and, you know, make sure you still have some birds. Or if you even have yarn at home, you can make your own. I've made some very multicolored ones before when I was testing this craft out. So now that I am pretty happy with how things look, I am going to have a look at the end here. So I can see that there's quite a difference in length for the remaining yarn. If you want them to be different lengths, they can be different lengths, or if you want to clean it up, like I did with my chickadee here, you can do that. It is totally up to you. Now, especially with the chickadee, and I want to say also with the Baltimore Oriole, there are some thicker yarns, so those are gonna react differently to being into the bird. So I would definitely wait until the very end to consider trimming, just because they will act differently, just because they're different thicknesses compared to some of the other thinner yarns. So what I'll do though, because there's some definite red that sticks out, and I'm not too keen on I just want to trim it. So I'm going to take my sewing scissors, and then I'm just going to go in kind of like an arc or a rainbow, and I'm just going to trim those up so they're a bit more uniform. Kind of like giving my birdie a pandemic haircut. And here, oh. Perfect. Now, sometimes it happens, I'll hopefully grab a good example. So a yarn can come out. So what I would do is just have a quick look, and then if I can tug on it a little bit and I can see where it is, I can actually easily just pull it. Or if it's come all the way through, again, it's really flexible and it is very accommodating. You can just tuck it back under. So it's one of the great things with this craft is until you are very happy, you don't have to be done. So like this piece of yarn, I'm really not happy with that shape. So I'm going to see if I can find it. And this one is not going to be as accommodating. So all I'm going to do is kind of open up that yellow and just have, oh, could that be it? Nope. Here's one that was really loose. So I'm going to look for the short ones first, but I'm not seeing it. Oh, is that it there? Nope. So that was a pretty short one anyway. So again, I can just quickly tuck it back under the holding one, and then now it's cleaned it up. So we're looking pretty good. So beak. You have 3 in your kit. So if you have more yarn, you can make another bird, or if you have an uh-oh, then you can fix it up. So you can cut it out, have your shape, and then I'm just using white glue, but you could use a glue stick if that's what you have. You'll get a bit messy when you do this. And you could shape it before adding the glue, but I like to do it just because it softens up the paper a little bit. So what I'm going to do is kind of just shape it and try and get that beak shape that I like. because like this one, besides the fact I smushed it, it is kind of like flat and wide, and so I would rather see it a little more, I don't know, pyramid-y cone, ice cream cone like. And so I'm just going to squish it. I do have glue all over my fingers, but that helps me smooth things out, and I can also rub it off in spots where I'm not happy with it. And then because I don't like that weird piece sticking out, I'm going to use my scissors just to kind of trim it, clean it up a bit. And now that I'm pretty happy with this, I usually put seam side down so people don't see it. And then I'm just going to kind of place it on here, make sure I'm happy with it. Yeah, that's a good size. And then the beak is going to go kind of where those two gaps are. And then you can use hot glue, white glue. I use white glue, and it will dry clear, so it's very forgiving, luckily. And then I'll just kind of make sure the cone has some of the glue on it, and then I will place it. So I will let it get a bit tacky because we need to add the feet as well. So inside your kit will be a piece of copper colored aluminum wire. And the aluminum wire is really great because it's so easy to flex. If you have any trouble though using, like flexing with it, you can always use a set of pliers, which mine ran away. It's totally up to you. I did for one, you can leave them as one piece of wire and just kind of fold it and get it through the body, or you can create two separate legs that will then go inside the body, and then you can always hot glue them or just make sure they're in there. You could hook them, kind of bend it at the top, and then they'll stay in. Whatever kind of suits what you kind of envision the end result for your bird to be. So for this, to make the feet, you can look on Google to see what the bird feet look like. But for mine, I'm just going to do 3 of the front toes and then 1 of like the claw at the back. I know those are not scientific terms, but you're just going to bend the wire, and so you just make kind of like a raindrop shape, and then you keep doing that. I'm gonna make that middle one a little bit bigger. You can see that. And then 1 more. And like I said, like the aluminum is really easy to work with. Some of the nose pieces for masks are aluminum, so those ones are very easy to bend and shape. So I'm going to add that back. Oh, not that big. Start again. So with this again, really easy to work with the aluminum. I can just go straighten out and then back up, and then there you go. Now I have my feet. So for this, I did these ones. I did a foot on one end, and then I did the foot on the other, and then I cut it in half when I was done, so then I would be able to get these in. So later on, I'm gonna probably add some hot glue. So then my bird is set. The other items in the bag are there should be 4 black beads so that you could add some eyes to your birds. Now, I included them because they are part of the instructions, but I have never added any eyes to mine just because I kind of like how they look, how they're kind of a simplified bird, breaking it down to the different levels, the back, the wings, and the belly, and then the legs and the beak. So you can attach them with glue, You could attach them with an extra piece of yarn, or you could just, you might even be able to just like add paint with a paint, like the end of a paintbrush. Again, these are your birds. However you want your birds to look, you can do that, because that is actually, now that I'm thinking about it, paint would be kind of cool because you could add more details to the birds. Now I'm gonna have to play with that later. So this is one of the things, again, these crafts, they're called Made by Me. They're actually made by you. So these crafts, however you want them to look, that is how you can make them look. And the sky is the limit the supplies within your household are the limit. But yes, no, I can definitely see adding a little bit of like acrylic paint to add some more detail to everything. Yes. Okay. Now I want to even get started with that. But I hope you are able to finish your birds. We're gonna pop and check and see if there are any questions. And I don't believe there are any questions. So if you have any questions, again, please feel free to contact me. You can email me. And if you are really excited and you created some beautiful birds, please, you can send me a picture, or if you're posting them online, you can share them with the hashtag MBM Great Roots, so Made by Me Great Roots. And we're very excited to see what you can create. So I hope you have a very wonderful day, and I hope you're going to join us again. Next week is reusable snack baggies and a puzzle ball, which will be fun to sew. So thank you again and have a great day.